Welcome everyone. So today we have Jose, the founder of VDEX here, and Nate, the CMO of Token Token Dynamics. So today we are just looking to get into the nitty gritty of the art and architecture of protocol design, and these two are some just giga brains. I'm just excited to learn from them on how the protocols are designed and how good protocols are designed and stuff like that. So first of all, I would request both of you to just introduce who you are, where the project you are working with, something about the project as well, and then let's get right into the questions. So first of all, over to you, Nate.
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, Mel. Um, yeah, actually, I don't know if I'm a gigabrain. CMO stands for Chief Milady Officer. I'm actually a retard. But yeah, I run Token Dynamics, and we're a protocol design and economic security firm with an emphasis on token utility that creates token value accrual. So, also an advisor to VDEX, and Jose and I are going to kick around some ideas and chat like we normally do, but maybe in a little more of a directed fashion today. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, to add on there, we're both retards, but only social retards. We do have a knack for understanding game theory, and that's really what it's all about. So yeah, I'm quite excited. I think even Nate maybe will come up with some ideas during this call that we'll write down and implement. That's usually how you can tell it's a good conversation. So yeah, I'm just excited to get started. So back over to and yeah, a quick intro to me. I'm founder and CEO of VDEX, and also the protocol designer.
Sweet. Well, since both our speakers have said, said their retards, I should say I'm a retard as well. Uh, cool. Um, so yeah, thanks for coming, both of you. So I was just going to the Token Dynamics website, and right, and this quote really caught my attention on Token Dynamics, built for the next century, not just the next cycle. I mean, in Web3, every day feels like a month or something. So, like, just imagining a project looking to build for the next century is like so far ahead. It's almost just difficult to comprehend, right? I mean, even the plans, even project plans and goals are what, like 5 years, 10 years max. So I would love to know on like, how do you put that into practice, the vision you have outlined in a space as volatile and fast moving as crypto, Nate?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, build for the next century, not just the next cycle, is sort of our tagline. We're focused mostly on censorship resistant apps because we see those as the only ones that survive every market cycle. So, I've been around for 12 years now in the space and have seen a few passing fads in my day. Like you said, crypto moves really fast, narratives move fast, teams move fast. But in practical terms, putting that into practice, I would say we maybe invert the the paradigm there, where we're often encouraging people to build mindfully, slowly, carefully, because when $1 billion is at stake, you don't have the luxury that Web 2 companies have of move fast and break things. That's how teams get exploited. So I would say counterintuitively, that means slowing down a lot of the time and not paying so much attention to what's hot right now, but putting our heads down to build the things that are actually important but may not be so popular at the moment.
Okay, that's interesting. That's like completely counterintuitive uh, to what is preached, right? I mean, because metas in crypto narratives are take much higher precedence when it comes to building. I mean, as a CMO, Nate, Uh, what do you think will a marketer say to, not moving fast? Because let's say we have a meta trending today, but tomorrow the meta shifts, and then you need to go back to the technical team and say that, hey, the meta has shifted, and then we need to execute in a certain way, in a completely different direction. And the technical team will be like, okay, we have already spent a month trying to build that. Now we need to spend another 3 months to build this. And after the next, after the current upcoming 3 months, the meta might change again. So, how do you think a project or a team can balance marketing and technical, and along with stay relevant to a specific meta?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the key there is to predict what the next meta will be and to proverbially skate where the puck is going. So I think it's more on the CEO, the lead visionary of a company, to identify where the market is likely to be in several months to a year, and then get the team building in that direction, which is something I see Jose doing all the time. So it might be a good question to ask him how he thinks about that.
I want to add to the next meta part of the question. So I think there's really two types of companies in Web3. There's like real companies that are building and are coming up with new ideas. They're seeking real people to use their product. And there are companies that are just marketing engines with vaporware underneath, and unfortunately, the latter of those is the far more common type of company. So when we think of projects, oftentimes the community members don't know which is which, but the ones that are not changing their narrative all the time and are building in public, but not afraid to stick to one vision, those are the real ones.
Yeah, actually, I think that sums it up beautifully. Just just stick to the vision and build for the community, for the users who want to use the product, and the meta will just fall into place. Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up. Um, yep. So, s- uh, so Nate, can you share some, public insights or discoveries that, token dynamics has made, recently? It can be anything basically. I mean, something around protocol design, of course, specifically, or even any other research things you have might have discovered in your many years of building.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the principles of tokenomics and the tokenomics trilemma, which we might end up talking about. But I mean, internally, we've been working on a new project that we're teasing out very slowly. Um, and I recently wrote an article on an economic security point that has been has persisted in crypto for the last 6 or 7 years. The idea that there's a single mistake, a single mental model, a faulty mental model that founders have adopted in crypto, that everybody has adopted in crypto, that underlies almost all of the economic exploits. And economic exploits are distinct from technical exploits in that economic vulnerabilities stem from a bug in the incentives rather than the code. So it's an issue with the system design such that no matter how you code the protocol, it's still going to blow up or be exploited because it is like fundamentally flawed logic. So this at the root of this, the article that I wrote is called "Are You Fucking High? The Oracle of DeFi," and you can find it somewhere in my Twitter page and also on eatsleepcrypto.com, where I post unhinged rants like this. And this one was about mark to market valuation, the idea that you can derive the market cap from the last traded price times the supply of an asset is silly, and that underlies most of the economic vulnerabilities that have happened in crypto, several in PerpDEXs, including the latest on Hyperliquid with Jelly, an illiquid meme coin that was manipulated at spot to lock in gains on the perp position. So, this idea that token market cap, that the fair value of a token is whatever it was last traded at times how many coins there are, causes a lot of problems when people code that in to their protocols. And part of our role at Token Dynamics when we're doing risk management for firms or protocols is to evaluate the liquidity profile of various assets and figure how those assets should be discounted or allowed to trade within the system safely so that there are no economic vulnerabilities.
With you mentioning the hyperliquid jelly exploit, we'll probably get into this a bit later, but could you give the audience just a bit of a quick summary on how that happened and how well, I guess I'll go into later on how VDEX is has avoided that issue before it even came up.
Yeah, definitely. So in short, illiquid meme coin was listed for allowed to trade. Too much of it was allowed to trade on Hyperliquid, and someone locked in equal long and short positions, and then allowed the short position to get liquidated, and forced the Hyperliquid uh, engine, the HLP bot, to take the other side of their trade after it was manipulated. So they would have gotten something like $8 million in profit, but Hyperliquid centrally decided that they wouldn't fulfill the order. That's kind of the high level. We did a full deep dive in an article that I'll post and retweet right now from my Twitter account.
Highly encourage everyone to check that out. The underlying idea is that if you can manipulate the spot into what Nate was saying about the market cap of an asset is not the last traded price times the supply, because that can be easily manipulated. So if an attacker, has some capital to inflate the price of this token, Jelly or any such token, and then created a leverage position on some perp market, then they'd be able to make a handsome profit, which is what they tried to do here. But of course, Hyperliquid sort of outed themselves as a centralized exchange by just reverting the transaction in this case. So yeah, we'll get into that a bit later. But this is the type of thing that Nate and I think really critically about.
Yeah, that jelly incident was crazy. It basically did wobble the whole Dex illusion, which was being built by many of our let's say competitors. But anyways, yeah, that's a really cool thing to solve. Also, Nate, when did you post that tweet? Maybe I can pin it on
Yeah, it looks like it was
on
from
the space.
the X account, so I'll pull it up and retweet it from my own. But it's called Hyperliquid's Back,
Mm-hmm.
and we might have had a subtitle to it, but we dove into the ETH exploit. There was a similar one that used Hyperliquid mechanic to force liquidation where by withdrawing margin, and used sort of the same principle, but with Ethereum, because there was a high leverage multiple that was allowed on ETH, where Jelly, the asset, was just manipulable itself because of thin liquidity. In both cases, there was more to liquidate. The Hyperliquid bot had to liquidate more than was possible to do in the time frame, which was at the root of that both of those exploits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think related to this question is so how do you approach building security models, looking at so many innovative ways a user is incentivized, as you were saying, to exploit protocol designs and basically game the system and unnaturally make a huge bag and exit. So, like, how do you approach building security models and skills? Like, any general framework when approaching a new system or project?
Yeah, I mean, I have my frameworks that I use, but as a team, Token Dynamics has a bunch of really smart people that are honestly smarter than I am, and they come up with their own ways. So one of the things that I really appreciate and have come to love is that our team is so diverse in their thinking, and each person has a different way of approaching protocol security. And I were to try to standardize that, it would maybe boost my ego, but we would lose some of the diversity of thought that really helps us evaluate and red team designs. To give an example, we had an audit last year on a protocol called Hoyu. They're an Oracle list lending market. And one of our auditors found a brand new category of exploit in tick based accounting systems that basically allowed us to construct a position anywhere above $600,000 that was impossible to liquidate because it was more gas intensive than could possibly fit into a block. And I could never have come up with that on my own. These are the kinds of things that our team members come up with, and then we add those kinds of things to our internal repo, as well as, if we find them in the wild, our external repo on GitHub, which is github/token dynamics XYZ. And we've got an entire list, the entire list of economic vulnerabilities that have been exploited since DeFi started, and even earlier, dating back to around 2013 with the Feathercoin 51% attack, if anyone here remembers that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, teamwork makes the dream work, and having a successful team, having a high skilled team, is really essential to yeah, basically look at things from very different perspectives. Jose would also love some of your thoughts.
What's
And
that?
just Nate, do you want to say something else?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in terms of like other frameworks that we use, there's earlier the principles of tokenomics that form the tokenomics trilemma. This is the idea that in any design, you will have trade offs between three things: protocol utility, value accrual, and economic security. And these map to the trade offs between users, investors, and the protocol itself. So those are the stakeholders that correspond to each of the three principles of tokenomics. And what we've found is that anytime someone makes a design decision, it is helping or hurting one of these three groups to the exclusion of one of the others, or to the detriment of one of the others. So we look for those kinds of things. And whenever I hear something that's novel or maybe too good to be true, I look for the design trade offs and almost always uncover them with this mental model.
The impossible
Yeah,
trifecta
that's an interesting.
is a yeah a feature of protocol design and everything really in life. I mean, I point also to the trade off of scalability, verifiability, and anonymity in classic cryptography that I've looked at a lot. So it's yeah basically this idea that yeah, it is something of a zero sum game, and you cannot satisfy all three at the same time, but you can get really close with two of them, and somehow even try to change the rules to satisfy the third one in another way, and I think that's the type of thinking that works as opposed to just trying to doing something like Terra Luna and trying to just satisfy all three with hopes and dreams.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely hit the nail on the head. You can get two, and you can get three if you get creative. And I would say the hope for protocol design, like the source of hope, not that it is a future hope, but like the source of hope comes from that value creation is positive sum, and the protocols that we're creating provide some real value, or to the extent they provide real value, there is value to capture or accrue to a token as well. So you can benefit users and investors if the protocol does something useful, which is why we focus so much on censorship resistance, because that is the main value proposition of crypto. And economic security corresponds with the third sort of stakeholder, which is the protocol itself. What we find is that when people say that they are not charging users, but their token is accruing value, they're implicitly charging the protocol. They are compromising the protocol itself by introducing the token as the protocol's own price dependency. That can be done well, but done poorly, it can blow up the protocol, just like Terra Luna did.
Yeah, that's for sure. Terra Luna was a pretty big mess, and yeah, satisfying the trifecta is pretty crucial. I mean, till now, the only protocols that have managed to satisfy everyone are gambling based. Uh, I mean, but yeah, I really hope that the shape shifts more in the future, wherein we can have some stuff which helps explore other revenues and still satisfies and has everyone and makes everyone happy, right? All the three people part of the trifecta. Um, so yes. So a question for you, Jose. Could you walk us through how VMM, generates income and supports the sustainability of the PerpDEX? I think it would also be great if we can also go into how it ensures that all the three people in the triangle are satisfied. And I think this is a question which everyone would love an answer to. Or okay, hey, we are talking about yields a lot, but how and why?
Yes, happy to. So, for context, the VMM or virtual market maker is the uh, auto auto trading bot on VDEX. So there's sort of two. I like to consider the VDEX itself as the shell or the skeleton of the virtual ecosystem. So you have, of course, the funding rates, codified liquidation engine. It's basically the rules and regulation that keeps everything secure and gets everyone to play by the same rules. So you can also think of it like sort of like the referee, but the virtual market maker is the human, the flesh that inhabits that skeleton, that empty body, that empty shell that is given by VDEX. So it is just an active player on the field of the virtual ecosystem, and it is in some ways no different than any other user, but it is. It is what allows the exchange to balance itself. And so to give the rundown on how it works, users are able to either trade themselves against other orders and take directional positions, arbitrage the funding rate, for example, or go long on BTC, or they can liquidity provide into the virtual market maker. And the virtual market maker will then borrow these funds from the liquidity providers and create orders, create a spread from all of these borrowed funds. And because the virtual market maker is setting up the spread and collecting fees, it is expected, it has a positive expected value. It's expected to make a profit, and it's going to distribute those profits, 100% of them, to the liquidity providers themselves. So, in some ways, it's no different than LPing into Uniswap, except, of course, we are an order book, not an AMM. And that means that we are so much more efficient because we have active participation. There's no impermanent loss. You don't need to have double sided LPing into, for example, ETH and USDC. Nope, you simply give capital in one denominated token, and we give you, or the VMM gives you stable yield. And so, how does that fulfill the three? Um, the three sides of the equation? Well, it fulfills the users because it allows them to trade immediately. If we did not have a VMM, then who would be trading against the user's orders? They would only be trading against each other. And in a very early protocol such as ourselves, there may not be that much liquidity in the beginning, and so that's a very bad experience for the users. They're going to get, a lot of slippage. They're going to get, not great order impact, and then possibly not even able to make big orders because it's dependent on the other users. But the VMM fulfills this because it provides liquidity upfront in the form of limit orders that allows the other users to create market orders against them. How does it fulfill the investors? Well, it is basically a cartel. So the most famous cartel in the world, you may know, is OPEC. OPEC basically is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting countries, and that allows all of the oil controlling countries to basically set the price by limiting supply. And if they all agree together, it's a classic, repeating prisoner's dilemma. Then they can unilaterally set the price of the market by determining supply. And it's the same way with the VMM. And the VMM, instead of having all the users submit their orders directly to the order book to, arbitrage the funding rate, to get to set some orders and earn some passive income like that. It's a cartel because the users do not need to compete against each other. Instead, they all basically allocate their funds together to this one organization that can act on behalf of all of them. So it's like a codified OPEC where the users are able to earn the maximum amount of yield by not competing against each other, but instead collaborating in the form of the VMM. And they give the VMM the dominant liquidity position in order to do this. And because the VMM is completely algorithmically trained, we cannot modify or somehow influence the VMM. It's community owned, in fact. Then that is the maximally profit earning protocol for the investors. And then on the final side of things, for the protocol itself, well, the VMM actually is a phenomenal instrument to ensure stability and the overall solvency of the exchange. Because the liquidation engine needs orders. If, for example, so many people are long, then there needs to be some agent that will take those long orders over if those users are ever liquidated. Well, it's very beneficial to have one organization, one actor, the VMM, to take up these orders. And so I would say actually that it fulfills all three of those in a very efficient manner, and that's why we designed it so.
Yeah, that looks pretty convincing, I would say. And yeah, the VMM will hopefully, yes, satisfy everyone's requirements, and yeah, lead to a really successful protocol. I'm pretty confident on that. Yes. So, could you describe the mechanisms in place to, you know, guarantee a robust and solvent liquidation process? A question for you, Jose.
Sure. So we have two mechanisms to ensure that the VMM itself is not overexposed. So the first of these is the funding rate. The funding rate serves many purposes, and it is the number one backbone to any exchange, any perpetual exchange rather, because the reason that we're able to have we have a better spread than Coinbase or Binance, which is a very impressive thing to say, but it's made possible by the fact that we have a funding rate compared to spot markets. So spot markets, the exchanges largely make their profit from the spot price. So you simply sell Bitcoin at 100,000, you buy it at 99,900. Well, if Alice comes and buys at 100,000, Bob comes and sells at 99,900, then the exchange has no exposure and now profits $100. So repeat that many, many times over, and you make an extended profit. The spread on VDEX is like a dollar, so we can't make a profit like that. But we do have the funding rate to basically take the passive side of whatever position the users do not want. If the users are long, VMM is short. VMM is short. Users are long, and we're able to earn basically an interest off of that. But that's not the only reason that the funding rate exists and is so important. The second reason is that if the VMM is too directionally exposed, then this is going to increase the funding rate. And so perpetual traders will know this, that if everyone wants to long BTC, then the VMM, for example, will be very short. That will increase the funding rate. And that's one way to ensure that the VMM is solvent and has enough liquidity to eventually take those liquidation orders. The second mechanism that actually I'd love to hear Nate on this is the OI caps, so open interest caps on each position. So, for example, if the VMM currently has around $5 million in liquidity, so this means that we could, for example, like take up to orders of maybe 1 million long, 1 million short, and those are just placeholder numbers, but we would simply cap, as all exchanges do, the amount of orders we can take in each direction. And that ensures that even in the worst case scenario where all 1 million of those orders are liquidated, the VMM is in a position to take that up and take over the exchange.
Yeah, and yeah, happy to weigh in on OI caps, and I love how you described funding rates as well. Something I heard a while ago about funding rates: the funding rate exists to keep the market price in line with the Oracle price, and I thought that was a really elegant way to put it, because that's what it does at the end of the day from the protocol's perspective. We often hear about it from the user's perspective, but when you think about protocol design like we do, we're thinking about it from all angles and satisfying that tokenomics trilemma. So it's cool to like sort of shift the paradigm there and think about it in different light. Yeah, with OI caps, I think the first time I remember coming across OI caps was after the GMX exploit with AVAX back in 2022. They capped the open interest, the amount of bets that could be placed in one direction or another, and prevented people from taking too large of positions after someone manipulated the AVAX price. So they opened a position and then manipulated it on centralized exchanges to make out with something like 500K in profit. This was in 2022. This is a very early PerpDEX exploit on one of the, if not the earliest, decentralized PerpDEX.
What do you think of GMX's design as sort of an AMM style PerpDEX?
I think it was a good start. I think, there are trade-offs in every style of PerpDEX, and I don't know how much I want to weigh in on this without looking like the idiot that I am, because generally I have our team deep dive these kinds of things. So I don't know if I could even intelligently weigh in on that question. Contrasting different PerpDEX designs is so, like, I would say PerpDEXs are probably the most complicated protocol in crypto, and those that don't have like a billion moving parts. I mean, it's the most complicated primitive because there are so many knobs and dials and levers that you can move, that to claim that I would like know the best PerpDEX would be bordering on hubris from my position. I think you would be able to weigh in on that much better. So maybe I would ask, like, what made you do an order book instead of a typical AMM style DEX, PerpDEX?
Well, Nate, actually, you have been my hubris checker over the last year. Every time I'm like, "Oh, I came up with a really great protocol that's better than all the others," I'd I'd check it with you. So I'll ask you to do the same now. But I do certainly I do want to get to the GMX point, but on the complexity point, I I found this out sort of the hard way because we of course have our the of course VDEX is a perpetual exchange, but that's actually not even the fun part about it. The fun part, or the reason that we are interesting, is the technology underneath the virtual rollups, and that is a whole other beast. That when we combined the two, resulted in the largest single code base that our auditor has ever seen. It was 280,000 lines, and the amount of time it took us to get to market, I think, is a bit understood once you factor in, yeah, the sheer complexity that we that we have created. And on the why do we do an order book front, well, it's about capital efficiency. So if it's a PerpDEX or even a spot exchange, order books are simply more efficient. You have, first of all, no impermanent loss on the LP side. So impermanent loss is basically when you deposit two sides of an asset. So let's say ETH and Solana. Well, if ETH is increasing in price as it is now, then everyone is going to want to buy your ETH and sell the Solana. So you, as the liquidity provider, will be left with less of the ETH and more of the Solana. But definitionally so, the more sought after asset is the one that you are left with less of. So even if you're taking fees and you have a nominal APR, a nominal positive APR, you are in fact going to be have a realized loss, because you have just less of the more valuable asset. And order books completely eliminate this because you are able to deposit just a single-sided LP, and the order book in the or any market maker is able to be a lot more flexible. So, okay, let's say Bitcoin is very popular right now. Let's take your stable asset, BTC against USD, or even if it's BTC against ETH, you can still denominate that from the market making side in stable coins without impermanent loss. And then it's able to move around to different order books, and be a real time actor. Whereas AMMs are simply, I mean, they're meant to approximate order books. They only, and I think maybe the best way to describe maybe why they are capital efficient is that they did not exist until crypto. They were built from necessity, from the fact that you cannot have active participants on you can't have liveness on a smart contract. You need to just simply have capital waiting there, and then treat this as a formula so one person can come in and take some liquidity and then leave. But this also led to all sorts of other problems like front running and sandwich attacks that are just a little bit silly. And so the choice to do a order book based PerpDEX is, I mean, straightforward. We also saw the success of Hyperliquid and their model by having their hyper liquidity provider, which we based our virtual market maker off of, and are very keen to not do multiple experiments at the same time. So we recognize the complexity of our application, possibly the most complex DApp in crypto, full stop. And we didn't want to be in reinventing the wheel on the PerpDEX side too. So it's more capital efficient. It is what the number one PerpDEX in the space was doing, and it is also what I'm used to as a former futures trader.
And I have a good softball question for you. What enabled you to do an order book that was not possible before with past PerpDEXs? Like, what is the technology that that made this possible?
Oh my God, Nate, I'm so glad you asked. Yeah, so the technology that allowed us to do that is virtual rollups, also known as ZK state channels. And the premise being that we can approximate a centralized exchange while still having peer-to-peer settlement between user verified contracts, which basically means that we can do the centralized order book, central limit order book CLOB model that other exchanges have done that are more capital efficient. And so no one else has been able to do this because no one else has our technology. So yes, that is that was our thought process there.
That's sick. And when you told me, I think, is it 200 times faster than Hyperliquid settlement time because of the ZK proofs and proofs of interaction?
Yeah, it's 200 times faster than Hyperliquid. It's 1,000 times faster than VDEX. And to paint some context for these numbers, if you are against, so the VMM is often the counterparty you're trading against. It is located in Tokyo, where most Binance, KuCoin are based in Tokyo. And so market makers that are going to be based in Tokyo, or anyone who is in Tokyo, they're going to experience settlement on the machine of under 1 millisecond. Whereas Hyperliquid, no matter where you are in the world, is going to be 200 milliseconds. Now, I do have to say that as innovative as VDEX is, we did not break the speed of light yet. And so that does mean if you're in other places in the world, you are going to your trade simply needs to run under an undersea cable. So there's nothing we can do about that. So the latency is around 1 millisecond plus whatever your distance is to the counterparty. And so what we'll be doing in a later stage of VDEX is adding more counterparties across the world so that you will connect to London or New York or Tokyo, and so that way you will basically always be experiencing um, speeds faster, not only than Hyperliquid, but then even centralized exchanges such as our backer Binance.
That is crazy. A lot of alpha is being dropped in the space. Yeah, that's really crazy. And I guess like everyone, including me, is excited to. I mean, we are already in beta, so everyone can actually just go out and test it themselves on what's being discussed here. But understanding the underlying protocol design that is going into was literally mind blowing and crazy. So I'll just let's go with just the last question, and then we would open the floor to everyone else. We already have like four hands right now, so then we just bring up a few people, a few community members on stage, and ask and have them ask questions on whatever's on their mind. So yeah, I mean, so like Bitcoin has like recently claimed the 100,000 marks. The bags are up, the vibes are up. Everyone is pretty happy. Uh, so like what do like both of you think that how can VDEX how are VDEX and token dynamics building in a way that is gonna hold up in, let's say, any market condition? uh like yeah, today Bitcoin is above 100,000, but like a week after it might just go below 80,000 again, or something like that. It might go to 50K as well. So yeah, how are both the projects being built such that they are not influenced by random market corrections or swings? So first of all, let's go to Nate.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, um, from first principles, like part of one of crypto's biggest apps is trading, and users seemingly show more interest in trading than in making or losing money one way or another, because there are more users who are trading than are making money or losing money. It's actually both of those combined. And VDEX is the platform for that. So it makes sense to me that VDEX is going to do well if there are more people trading in crypto, regardless of what the market does.
Yeah, I just posted yesterday, I think it was, or maybe 2 days ago, on Marcus and Gabriel. So you can trade, and you can be, like Marcus, and take directional positions, or if you just want to park your capital to earn some passive rate of return, then that's also something that you can do. So it's sort of the place for both. And then in terms of security, we talked about this throughout the space today, but the VMM is capable of handling even like 7 standard deviations of movement in the price of BTC. So we use implied and realized volatility to foresee, so sort of, these possible downturns or increases. So the exchange is well equipped to handle that, and of course we are also taking, technical security very seriously. By being in beta, we have a lot of precautionary measures. So the upgradable contract, the 24-hour withdrawal delay. The reason that these exist is so that if something were to go wrong, we have time to react to it and have time to basically, yeah, ensure that everything is stable. But in the, I guess, 1.5 months now that we've been like really, really live, since April 3rd is what I consider our birthday, we haven't discovered any critical bugs. So that's a really great sign. We also do have a bug bounty live, $5,000 to anyone who is going to discover any technical bugs. But just more than that, Nate, myself, and the entire team of VDEX and VDEX advisors, we're running simulations. We're thinking critically. We're looking at what the other protocols are doing, and we're taking a first principles approach. When the jelly exploit happened on Hyperliquid, I was very, very happy to see that you cannot perform this exploit on VDEX. Before that exploit ever even happened on Hyperliquid, we had prevented it. So we're at least a few steps ahead, and that's where we like to be.
Yeah, that is amazing. That were some really great answers. Thanks for the breakdown. Now we will be opening the floor to invite community members to, yeah, come up and ask any questions, any burning questions they have. So I'm proving a few. Okay. Uh, okay, approved, honey. Okay. Hey, honey. Over to you. So you can please unmute and ask. Honey.
Hey,
Yeah,
honey,
anything
Can
I'm
you
I?
want to
home.
Okay. Can I ask my question,
say.
sir?
Hey, honey. Yes, yes, please do, honey.
My question is, partnership is always important factor for every project. So how is your partner? What are the benefit you get from this relationship? That's my question.
I'll answer this very briefly, and then I want to go to Nate so he can define the scope of the partnership, or the advisorship rather. So, Token Dynamics is a basically like a Halborn or a Trail of Bits, not a technical auditor, but a protocol auditor. So there can be no errors in the code, but errors in the logic of a protocol. So like Hyperliquid, there's no logic in the error of the code with the Jelly exploit, but just the way that they handle the liquidation engine and the ability to withdraw profits directly. Um, we need to be very cognizant of possible exploits like that and ensuring a secure protocol. And although I am, very intimately aware of the protocol, of course, having, been working on VDEX for a year, it's very good to have another pair of eyes, and Nate is that other pair of eyes.
Okay, okay, great answer.
Yeah, sure. Happy to speak to that too. So when Jose told me about VDEX and asked me to be an advisor, I was looking at the documentation, And I was surprised not to find any critical vulnerabilities. We have a similar scoring system for um, economic vulnerabilities as many auditors do for technical. So we've got low, medium, high, critical. And usually we find a critical or two in protocols that we're working with. I didn't see any when I looked over VDEX, and I haven't seen any since. I think, as far as partnership with Token Dynamics, we would love to build a further partnership and be doing more of the hands-on evaluation and looking at parameters and seeing if different parameters are good from a risk perspective, and optimizing for the profitability of the of VDEX, which will translate to uh, better token value accrual over time.
Okay, thanks a lot for the answers, Jose and Nate, and thanks a lot for the question, honey. I hope it was answered. Over to Bimo. Yes, Bimo.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, so my question is ambassador play a very important role in every project. Do you have an ambassador program?
I'm going to kick that over to Chirag, actually.
Yes, we. Okay, yes, you were saying something, Jose.
No, I said I want to kick it over to you to talk about our ambassador program.
Yeah. So yes, Bimo, we do have an ambassadorship program, and yeah, please do apply for it if you think you will be able to, help grow VDEX. Yeah, we are always onboarding ambassadors. Please DM the VDEX account, and we'll send over the form and the other details around it. And yeah, there will be there are a lot of incentives. So if you can help us grow, we can definitely look after you as well, and that goes for everyone. For every So we are very community focused, and we want to help and reward everyone who helps us.
Where can they find more information about the scope of the ambassador program?
Yes, they can find it in the articles. I'll just pin the article right now. Share to space. Okay. So can you see the can you see pinned? Yeah, you can find the Vanguard program pin on the space, and I'll also send it over to you in DMs, so you can just go over it and apply for it. Thanks, Bimo, and now over to Alex.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Alex, you are audible.
Thank you, thank you. My question: what's your main focus right now? Are you focused on the community or market? Exchange the products. This is my question.
Yeah, great question, Alex. So we are focused on the community. We are focused on adding features. So we've heard from the community that what you guys want is higher leverage. So we only are offering 5x leverage, and actually that's why Nate is and Token Dynamics are such a crucial part to VDEX, is because we want to make sure we're doing things right in order so that we can increase leverage, because of course that increases the risk to the exchange. But as long as we're doing it properly, then there is no risk. So or there is less risk. So increasing leverage we're doing. We've also heard that the community wants a mobile support, so we're adding mobile support. We're improving the user interface. We are adding more trading pairs. We are adding more supported chains. So we added BitLayer last week. We're also adding Nibiru in the coming weeks. So we're focused on the community and the application, um, and and serving the community by adding more features.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Great answer. Thank you very much.
That was a great question. Thanks for that, Alex. Now over to our last our question from Asad. Yes, Asad Hussain. Can you hear me, Asad? Please unmute. Hey, I think Asad. Okay, there you go. Yes, Asad, you are
Can I
unmuted.
ask
Please. Yeah.
can I ask question?
Yes, please do, Asad.
My question is partnership most is always an important factor for every project. So who is your partner? We are the benefit you get from this relationship.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've
S-
already answered that.
Yeah, we already answered that, but I'll give a quick recap. So basically, security. We want to be able to increase leverage and add more trading pairs for the users, but we're not able to do that until we are 101% certain that we are capable of handling possible liquidations or possible directional activity in the worst case scenario. So that's what Nate is, that other pair of eyes to make sure we are solvent.
Yeah, and I would
Okay,
say like
Okay.
that is
okay. Thank you.
the role of
Go ahead,
that's
Nate.
yeah, that's just that's what the role of I think we hope to be that going forward as VDEX scales, because at at scale, at hyperliquid scale even, it becomes a a significant full time job. So that's where we see partnership going, and I'm looking forward to discussing that and keeping you guys all in the loop. It's a great community, great questions. Thank you all for having me on today.
Thank you for coming, Nate. So happy to have a conversation live. It is actually just how we talk normally. And thank you all to well, we have, I think, around 30 live listeners now and closer to 50 or 60 that tuned in. So thank you all for listening to protocol design and how we're building and securing VDEX. And for those of you that do not yet have access code to VDEX, so VDEX is still in beta, and VDEX is still invite only, so not anyone can LP and earn yield in the VMM or trade in VDEX because it's invite only. So Chirag or Umel, sorry, will be dropping some invite codes for all of you to join if you attended the space. So look out for that. Chirag, I guess you can talk about how you'll be distributing those codes.
Yes, so we'll be distributing the codes by putting it into the comments of our space, so everyone can grab the code from there itself. And yeah, so and just to ensure, like everyone who has asked a question, I mean, in case you are unable to grab the code, just DM us, and everyone who has asked the question will definitely be invited. And also, I see there are some more hands being raised from like Mr. CJ, and another person is still requesting. I would say, please join our Discord community and ask any question you have. We would the team is there to answer it and help you be onboarded, and just look out for you. And to wrap it up, thanks a lot, Jose and Nate, for uh, for your time, for your insights. It means a lot. And thanks to everyone for coming to the space, giving your precious time. and listening to a protocol design. This can be a boring topic sometimes, so it just means the all the more, for everyone just spending a lot of time with us and attending the space. So yeah, to wrap it up, thanks a lot and see you in Discord.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you, Nate.
Thanks. Bye bye.
See you guys.